Welcome to the podcast, Gary. So I keep saying that this show is not a motoring show.
Yeah.
At most, it's motoring adjacent. You know, it's like people that are in the car scene one way or another, motor journalist, or in your case, event organizer / basically, you've done it all. So you are basically, if you have so much petrol flowing in your veins, you're like, I could melt you down and run my Cayenne on the fumes for like a month. Okay, maybe a week.
Your Cayenne's going to get cholesterol.
Yeah? Sugar. Yeah, I don't put sugar in your tank. But welcome to the show, dude.
Thank you.
Do you remember when you met me?
I know the circumstance. I can't get to the year exactly, but it was in that underground customs phase. I think you had the Opel at the time. And I think it went through its first sort of, when it had the orange, that whole surf joy vibe.
This was just before, I think it was still black and silver. The year was 2003.
Jeez. Yes, sir.
But do you remember the night?
20 years.
It's 20 years.
No,
it's our anniversary.
I don't remember that.
So I'm chilling with Jason and Rashad, but mostly with Jason, our mutual friend Jason, the only man that works on my cars, except for my Chevy. In fact, every time he works on my car, he also tells me, I'm done. I'm done after this. And I'll be like, with me? Like, no, with cars. I'm done. I'm not going to work on cars.
That forever.
But I see he's still at it. So I'm at their shop in Ottery.
Yeah.
And there's a big commotion. And there's tire noise, car shutting down, lights going off. And you and I can't remember who with you, ran in. And you ran past all of us and to the back. And I can tell by Jason's face and Rashad's face, it ain't no big thing. But we relocate, we find Gary. What's up, Gary? Gary was running away from the cops.
Oh, shit. That night.
That's the night I met you. Setting the stage for Gary, as it were, at large.
In the Golf 4.
Was it a Golf at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of stuck
I think it was me and Garth.
Yes, it was you and Garth. That is correct.
So, I done some dumb shit. Oh,
no, we all have. But I was just thinking how funny it was. So I had a bunch of things I want to talk to you about. But I realized, leading with that story, how much our lives have changed.
Yeah.
Like back then, both of us doing fairly naughty things, nothing we necessarily proud of.
Okay to share.
Okay to share, for public purposes, definitely. Like a podcast would be a terrible idea to share those things.
Yeah.
But and I thought it was funny because if I look at you now, like you just had a conversation with my wife about like school and your kids and your Facebook posts about your kids and your wife and you this, and it doesn't surprise me because I'm in the same boat. Like we've come so far. Like we talk about how the scene has changed.
Yeah, with how we changed as well,
Fuck, we changed a lot.
Yeah. And I'd like to think we changed for the better. I mean, if we really look at...
In your case, absolutely. You're a little shit.
Look at this, come on. Like, I think... I always throw back to a conversation, and I actually had this conversation with Anwar Daniels last night, and I was referring to a time when I was chased out of Killarney for doing donuts because authority and me just didn't get along. So my Skyline days, hooligan, and you think about it now, and you go to Killarney and you see similar actions, and you're like, yes, can't they grow up? And you're thinking to yourself like, yeah, that was me a couple of years ago. But I think at that time, when I was doing the donuts, there was a generation that was older than me that was saying, yeah, look at this light, these are going on. So
absolutely,
it's everything now is just like taking its place, and it's feeling so organic, but at the same time, it's feeling so like in our days, but.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back in our, like there was the guys that had the cars that said our cars are crap, and like we saying their cars are crap, and it's just crazy. Like it's like this continuous loop. Yeah, it's a continuous loop.
I appreciate the irony that you were thrown out of Killarney for doing donuts.
And I'm doing donuts.
And now you're organizing on the Grand Parade for other people to come and do donuts, glorified thrifty donuts on the Grand Parade. That is insane. And well done on pulling off another one. I have a very important question.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered organizing a thrift event when it's not raining?
No. It's not fun. Well, why must I make life easier on myself and not stress?
You have been very unlucky. This is Cape Town where even in October you're thinking, this is practically, we're basically on the driveway to summer, but still.
I think we need to just be realistic and come to the realization that global warming is a real thing. Like there is no good month, there is no good dates, there's no nothing. I mean, we looked at, initially we were always in September, then we moved it to March, and then March rained, and we moved it back to September, and September rained. I think I just, when it comes to that particular thing, I don't have the answers. I mean, there's no answers to how to mitigate weather problems, but the beauty of the sport is that the sport can be all weather, and the real diehard petrol fans are all weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
But ideally, you have a business to run and you have sponsors to please, and you know the industry is based on numbers, and the weather does affect numbers. That's the sad reality of it, but it doesn't affect the drivers. I mean, they had a jaw. We did a visit to each of them last night, the top 3 actually, and just to catch up with the guys, and like the excitement 2 weeks later in their voices when they talk about the event. I think that's the thing that drives me. That's the thing that fuels me more than just cars at the moment. The fact that we get to do cool shit, man. And we really get to do cool shit in like probably one of the most iconic cities in the world, not in the country, in the world, with a backdrop as amazing as ours. And for me, I've had this conversation a lot in a lot of interviews, but there's so much history for me as a Cape Townian on the Grand Parade with my parents, and because my father and my mother used to work in Woodstock. So being on the parade at the statue, feeding the pigeons, that was the thing as a lightie that I experienced. So to come full circle now years later, and you don't see it on event day, but on build-up days, I stand there and there's a lot of memories, and it's good to know that we were able to pull it off. And one of the things that always rings in my ears is something that JP Smith said to me was, when we initially pitched the concept to the city, he said, you can't change an area, a negative area, by introducing negativity. You have to introduce positivity to it. So the event itself creates a positive feeling to the parade, which is generally a negative space if you look at it, how it looks during the week and how, you know what I mean? So for me, that was a plus, like a good feeling to say, well, we're doing something positive. Not everybody agrees with it. There's a lot of people that think it's chaos in the city center, and the ratepayers obviously don't like it because it's infringing on their Sunday quiet, but Cape Town's our home. It's everybody's home.
Yeah.
So.
It's iconic. I mean, it's icon on top of icon.
Yeah.
It's an iconic spot in an iconic city. And you're doing something, creating a sport that is organized chaos, and you bring it to this hallowed ground,
the oldest heritage site in the country.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where Van Riebeeck like found several pumps.
Yeah.
At least.
Damn.
And
pulling out Van Riebeeck's files on the podcast.
So JP Smith,
yeah,
sage, wise, what was your dealings with him like?
To be honest with you, like, politicians in South Africa have a stigma. We don't have to say what the stigma is, but they have a stigma. I've never met a more direct, straight-laced person in my life. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't ever pick up the phone and phone him and chat about the rugby kind of a relationship. But every time I've ever spoken to him, anything that he's ever said, anytime he's ever offered his support, it was legit. It was legit. And so for me, sometimes when I see the movements, the JP Must Fall movements, I reserve my comment because, yes, I'm still 100% part of the culture. I'm still 100% an active member on the street, if you want to call it that. But the man makes sense, man. He makes sense. And this brings us back to the beginning of our conversation, that for a lot of the young guys that are hashtagging like they are, it's only going to make sense in 20 years' time.
There you go.
When we're sitting like this and when they're sitting and they realize that their parents now, they get it, you know what I mean?
All of a sudden, a front number plate makes a lot more sense.
So much more sense.
When your light is at school
100%.
And some idiots driving around
100%.
doing, Drift City things on the public roads.
Yeah. So when we sit and we watch this, and like, I never want to be that goody two-shoes and tell them, yeah, shut up, man. You got to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, social media creates a big platform for a lot of stupid people to say a lot of stupid things. But it's how life's changing. I mean, our voice was what? We had to wait for it to come out in the Athlon News for something to be said. You know what I mean?
Well, look, 20 years ago, we had place. Okay, I don't mean newspaper, but in terms of media, I mean, we had Urban Racer magazine. We had Speed and Sound. we actually had a lot. We were spoiled for media. I would say
Yeah.
that was at the height, like actually maybe a little bit later when Max
What was
Power
the
came
other
online.
one? Cape Rush.
Cape Rush,
Yeah.
and then before that there was
Ego
Ego
Machines,
Machines.
yeah.
So we can complain about representation, but we had a lot of options back then. We created a couple, but we had a lot of options. We were actually kind of spoiled. Then of course
Raceweb as well.
Raceweb, still kicking.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get to that, like all the forums as well.
Yeah.
So we were super represented. So
The problem was though that, particularly with the digital stuff and the online stuff, accessibility wasn't like it was today. I mean, like it's like everybody's got access to the internet. I mean, we still used to do a lot of print media. I still got crates and crates full of magazines. I'm pretty sure I still got some Ego Machines at home as well. So, I mean, it was strange though that at the time, even before you were on the Max Power bus, like I felt like Cape Town had like that print media thing on lock long before Joburg. Like it was like we were at the forefront of that stuff. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, but look, I'm also quite biased. I mean, I was heavily entrenched.
Yeah.
Like, even though I had Urban, I was involved with every single club. I mean, we did Cape Auto Fusion, and when I say we, I never mean me. I mean me with
your collective,
Raceweb, Zooped Up, all the car clubs.
Zooped Up, jeez.
Zooped Up, Street Freaks. Street Freaks. And then obviously all the forums, your Extreme V Dubs, your Tier D clubs.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a community. The Hardy does have something to say. This will have to be a feature or
That's part of it.
Yeah, sorry, this is Cape Town. Look, we had a bunch of options, and I think cynically we have to go, but now there's Facebook.
Yeah.
Now there's TikTok.
Yeah.
And I look at these mediums and go, man, like, exactly like you do, these kids, what are they doing? But knowing full well that if it wasn't now, like if it was me 20 years ago, but now, I'd be doing all these things
100%.
now. I think about the amount of work that I put into what I did back then. I'm like, damn, I don't have the energy for that shit now. I mean, starting a magazine, hookups, meetups, parking lot, this and that, in the night, like...
And the cost associated with that, because you have to permanently mission to get from one thing to another thing. It's like crazy. I just look at the amount of guys now, particularly with, like, to use Drift City as a reference, when we do the media accreditations. I mean, like, the influx of requests we get from... And then we have to physically sort through it, because you want to obviously make sure that the proper people get accredited. Not like there isn't proper people, but, like, the guys will have, like... 15 followers or like and then we always have the argument of like but we also want to see that side of it grow. So like for us as an event, what a lot of people don't really get is that we also pushing an event to be in the forefront of everything, but it also stimulates the entire industry in the back end. So like the trade aspects of it, the media aspects of it, all the lifestyle elements that go with it. So without the events, nobody really grows, and without the industry, the events really don't have anything to showcase. So we're all part of this big wheel, and if we throw back to how it was back then, it was like the hustle for selling magazine space and selling adverts and selling. Now it's like kind of just, I'll put your banner on my webpage. So like, is it really growing, or is people just kind of freeloading off each other?
So, I mean, my industry is very different to yours. It's fundamentally different to yours, but it's still motoring and it's still media. And we've got an influx of influencers. Do you find the same thing with what you're doing now? There's a lot of lucky go, this guy is 15, or he's not a traditional outlet for this kind of content, but he's got a good following. Does that count for something?
I think not so much in ours, because we try and go with industry-specific people. Just having a big following doesn't necessarily equate to ticket sales for us. Maybe it equates to reach and social media reach, but it doesn't really equate to ticket sales for us, because if they've got 100,000 people on their following, if 10% come out of curiosity, we're lucky. Whereas if you go with a Calvin Fisher, for argument's sake, where your target market is motoring, the return on that is so much greater, because your target market knows
that's
that
who you want to talk to.
And also you have a respected opinion. Influencers, to me at the moment, I just feel that they've become pretty much the voice of whatever's cool at the moment. So there's no sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
it's more what's trending.
No,
than
almost like
what's-
no, there's no credibility in the opinion.
yeah.
The opinion is what pays the check.
Yeah.
So
And that's kind of our challenge. I've warmed up to influencers because I've just learned too many times that when you see something coming, you either adapt or you get left behind.
yeah, you left behind, exactly.
So based on that and understanding how they work and seeing their value, like if you're going, yeah, that's my content that people rely on, but this is gonna give me a big reach. That's marketing.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's worth something for sure. Why drifting though? Why is this the industry that you're, what would you say, putting it all on right now?
So I mean, you know my background. So like, I come from the custom stuff. So when we built the Skyline, the Skyline was always a bittersweet story for me because when we finished the car, my mom passed away like literally the week after. So I lost all excitement and passion was gone. Like, so the car just kind of stood in the garage for I think almost like 6 months. At the time, Speed and Sound was outing me. Everybody wanted to feature the car, and I was just like, I'm not about. I don't even want to think about
now,
it.
Yeah.
So I finally like, and if you remember the Skyline's build, it was also that thing where a lot of people told me, oh, it can't be done. 20s on a Skyline can't be done. Air-ride on a Skyline, and we're talking 20. I don't even know.
8.
Yeah, 2008 somewhere.
Around about there, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, air-ride on the Skyline at that time. And then people told me it can't be done, and we did it, and with Jason and Marlon, and with Garth also at the time, and Adam sprayed the car. Like, it was, again, the little group of people at Mission.
Same group every time.
And then when the car kind of just fizzled out, D-Dem was starting with the Drift Squad stuff at the time, and then Atmosphere was Mr. Spot on a Sunday, and he used to go all along a Raichi, and then I bought the Essex, and then it bit. But what bit me more wasn't necessarily drifting to say that much, but D is a very, he's very charismatic in the way he lives his life. So when you meet him, you either perceive him as one thing or the other. And for me, like, I really looked at D as like someone that was just so driven by passion for the culture of hip hop that it spilled into drifting, and it kind of washed onto me in terms of how I looked at the sport. And then with Drift Squad, doing the whole spectator ride things and all that other stuff, I found my niche in the planning part of it more than the driving. Like, we always make the joke, I drive kak, but I plan well. So I was always the guy that was making sure when Drift Squad arrived somewhere, the shit was right.
Yeah, but another thing about the Reddy D, that's another icon right there.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of person that, like, if you near him, like if you circle him, you want to stay circling him because he releases this good energy. You know, I don't think he'll be offended by this, but he's almost like childlike with his enthusiasm.
100%, yeah.
And that's what you love about him. Like, you don't feel like you're working, you know, you're hanging.
Yeah.
Like, if
it doesn't feel forced. It never feels forced,
If you've been in his studio, it's like, oh, I feel like I know this bruh forever.
Yeah.
If you're hanging out at an event, it's like, you maybe only saw him, maybe only met him once before, but when he sees you, he knows who you are and you connect. He doesn't talk to you, he connects with you. And he's a good guy. I'm gonna get him on this couch soon. But he's such a sweetheart. And then there's the fact that he's also a legend. And we know a couple of people like that, a couple of iconic Cape Townians like that. And they all have, to varying degrees, the same warmth and infectiousness where it's like, I can see why you are where you are. But that's not why they are. Because they actually have the skills and the talent to back up that as well, which is very, very, very unique. And awesome, because I think it's not a Cape Town thing, but, you know, like recognizes like. Like, you can see it a mile away and you just want to hang, and you feel like you've been with that person forever. That you don't feel weird when you just, you know, out of the blue, just like, yo, what's up, man?
The thing that D's always given me, I mean, like, not like to have a podcast talking about someone that's probably going to watch it and have a conversation about it. But the thing that he's given me a lot of advice on was, I mean, you know that whole thing, I mean, it's a saying in Tokyo Driftman, the nail that stands out gets hammered kind of thing. So, I mean, being at the forefront of a drift event, you obviously open yourself to a lot of ridicule and criticism from people that always know better. And there's a lot of times that I wanted to throw in the towel. And D is always the one that's being that voice when it was like, yo, it's thick, dude. Like I can't deal with stupid people. I can't deal with the negative buzz. And he was always the one that was just like the focus speeches.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come across as lecturing or anything. It's like just, and you leave there sometimes after a cup of tea with Malika and Dee, and you just leave there like a little bit like, you know what, I can imagine what he's gone through with POC through the years and all that other stuff. And I'm like, man's still standing, man. You know? I mean, pretty obviously people criticized him, but he's still standing. So if he can, we all can. Shout out to D.
Dude. Yeah, D, you'll be here soon. You don't necessarily know it yet, but you're going to be here.
It won't be beer.
No,
I promise it won't be beer.
Or kombucha. I think he once bought me a kombucha. So that's why. But now, okay, you quickly moved past the driving and went to the organizing.
Yeah.
But have you crashed?
Yeah, I with Ernest Page one day.
No, he's a cuck driver. Eh?
No, he was actually coaching me, so he's a worse coach.
No, he's a cuck coach.
We were at Monster Mob. And
Yeah.
I was trying to come out of a swing, and he was, but it was low speed, and I tried to get a little too close to the clipping point, and I hit the whole side of the thing, and that the Essex was pretty much full of dents at that stage already. So I said, okay, I'm done. I think that was the last I drove, like really drove.
That was in Kimberley.
Kimberley, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been there. I've played there. Otto, yeah, what a dude.
Yeah. Something else though.
He was an innovator as well. I mean, he came on the scene with that CSL, remember? That was his first one.
Yeah, the Monster Mob, the checkered flag and the skull on the side.
I think the very first Max Power Festival we had at Killarney, he came down with that thing. And we didn't know what we were looking at. But you could hear that thing, like, I think you could, it was drifting at Killarney, but you could hear it from Kyalami. It was loud. But yeah, drifting.
It's evolved a lot over the years in Cape Town. I mean,
it's different now, eh?
Yeah, it's look, the thing is, I mean, Otto will always be seen as like the godfather of South African drifting, in my opinion. Fahim Sali would be like the Cape Town godfather. But it's gone. I mean, there's so many good drivers in Cape Town. Like, I mean, really, really good drivers. I mean, Bronny, Yasin, Jean Stemmet, like these guys that can seriously like pedal. Like, enough to, I would say, like, at least shock some people on an international scale. Maybe not top podiums as yet, but like their names will be remembered.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Sure.
And
Ishak, huh?
Yeah,
still at it.
Yeah, Isak is the Gymkhana king though. Like, but I'm talking about like the high speed stuff, like the guys that come in and hammer the entries and third gear, fourth gear stuff that'll scare your ancestors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of a even inkling to sit passenger. I don't have the nerve for it.
What's your best like result or your best drift? Like, if people talk about drifting and you go, yeah, I can drift, or I used to drift. What's the moment you think of?
Yeah, it's not like I don't like I said. I mean, like whenever we used to go to events, most of the time it would be the spectator ride stuff. So it was never like really high speed, crazy stuff like the rest of them are doing. I would always be in the back end, and Anwar would drive my car sometimes, or most times he would drive the Essex. But there's been like a couple of times at Killarney, just on a practice day, where you come out of a bend and you're like, it felt so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good, but it's a drag, man. So you chase the next bend, and you chase the next bend, and
inevitably there's a wall.
Somewhere there's going to be a wall. So for me, I mean, like the limiting factors was, I mean, drifting is very expensive. Like, don't get it twisted, it's expensive. So, I mean, I was always the guy that was cautious of not wanting to destroy the car, because you're always thinking of the cost implications. And I think when it comes to motorsport, if you're carrying that weight, that is a rev limiter. Like, if you're constantly thinking about how much you're going to lose if it crashes or it breaks, then you're never going to be at your best.
Well done. You've described my day job. Other people's cars. I drive other people's cars.
Yeah.
Sometimes very quickly and sometimes too quickly. And the entire time, like, I have an amazing car. And people will see on social media, he's got their car.
Yeah.
And then when they meet me, they'll go, how was that car? And I'll go, that was an amazing set of keys to give back.
Yeah.
Because it means nothing went wrong. Because I've had crashes. But when it's someone else's pride and joy, even if it's a manufacturer, it's like it's not yours.
Yeah.
And I know guys that they're not bothered by that. In fact, not my car.
Yeah.
Balls to the wall. But I'm definitely not like that. That's on my mind the entire time.
I think it's because you always got like an emotional attachment to the cars. Like every car's got a story, every car's got a memory, every car's got a part of you. I mean, we had a similar conversation when we went to Ceres that time, when we went to go look at that warehouse full of stuff.
Or quattros and
Yeah.
stuff. Oh man.
So I mean, like it's just like these cars and I mean, we share love for the skyline. I mean, that story that you wrote about
Clifton, my neighbor.
Cliffy,
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the things that I read, and I read that story, and it was like I was there, and that was your early days of writing, and I was
Yeah.
like, it makes so much sense, and if you were part of the, like everybody, no matter how old you are, there's a car that is imprinted in your history for an experience, your first dice or your first pump, whatever it was.
Pepsi bins and the rest.
Yeah.
So like you say, or similar to what you're saying, I think everyone, and that's almost the purpose of this podcast, or the thread, is that anyone from D or someone that's got nothing to do with cars, everyone's got a car story.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily racing or drifting.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a cool story that involves a car,
Yeah.
and I want to hear it.
Yeah.
What is your cool car story?
I don't know, man. It's
Too
like,
many.
I feel like there's just so many. I think my coolest car story was that I think that Ceres garage is one of the standout moments for me because it happened.
And I was there. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about when I first found it. Like
Oh yeah.
it wasn't like on my list of things to do for
And
that
then
day.
there it was.
We were filming in Tankwa. It was like literally the worst shoot of my life. Like it was just literally day after day of problems and breakdowns. And I had ridden into the town because we were shooting. It's an engine commercial. I mean, the commercial was flighted for long, and the bikes just kept breaking. So I built 3 identical CD200 bikes, and the conditions were just so harsh. The bikes just couldn't take it. So I had driven into Ceres to try and get more space for the bike. And I got a punch on the Jeep, and I ended up going to the IQ. And then I was chatting to the guy at the IQ, and he told me, and then he saw the movie car guy's website on the Jeep, and he asked me, so what do you do? And I said, that. And he says, oh, we got a warehouse full of cars. And I said, can't be true. And he opened the warehouse, and I was like, shit. You mean full of cars?
For context, I've been with you later on, and I've seen... And I can't even, I've forgotten more cars than I remember, but the 2 Quattros, muscle cars like you've never seen.
Yeah, I didn't even matter.
Dude, there was just amazing stuff in there.
But it was like, it was everything from a Lambo to a Nissan X.
Yeah.
It was like...
Yeah, it was diverse.
It was everything. And it wasn't like packed in a display situation.
No.
It was like sardines. Dude. Like just
they were packed.
Covered in dust, just parking off there, and it's just crazy.
And let me tell you, back then, so that's not 20 years ago, maybe that's 10 years ago.
Yeah, that
could easily be 10 years ago. I was at top.
So I got it's 10 years because I got the Jeep 10 years.
So when I had the same experience you do, when I saw the cars, I'm like, how can you let these
You called me out on it though, because when I made the post on Facebook, everybody was like, oh, it's Franschhoek Museum. I said, it's not Franschhoek Museum, guys, it's not. And then you wrote the article for Top Car.
Yeah.
For the Audi, and then you phoned me and you said, that collection you spoke at, was there Quattros? I said, yeah, there was 2. And you were like, can't be true. I said, there was 2. And I said, and you said, let's go. And I said, okay, let's go. And we went in the Infinity.
Very likely.
Yeah.
So did I call you out?
Yeah. I think you called bullshit. I think in the back of your head you were like, this story seems too good.
Or did I manipulate you because I got a dope ass story after that?
Maybe. But it was literally like, I'm probably gonna ask this about the cars, and he's not. And I still say to you, I can't explain to you how to get there, but I can get you there.
Man.
And then
we got there.
Yeah, I got off the phone, I called the dude, and I said, can we come through? And he said, yeah, come. I called you back and we went.
And the reason why it all fell together was Audi had just launched their new S1.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's basically like a Polo GTI. Yeah. But that S1 name is synonymous with the S1 Quattro.
Yeah.
And I saw a good story.
It was a quite angle,
Yeah, I would have done anything for that story. So, that was pretty cool. I think that kind of like leveled up our relationship as well.
Yeah.
And now we share cool stories.
You scared me shitless though, because we drove that fucking Infinity like a bastard through here. I was like, oh God, this man drives fast.
Okay, so Infinity's out of the country. You can now be honest.
Was it a VQ?
I can't even remember.
I remember it.
Or was it a Q50? Was it basically a Japanese Skyline of some sort?
Well, I know it's like a ruby reddish color one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it had like 4-wheel steer or something.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
We were fucking flying through. I was like, shit, we're going fast now.
You look like a man that was busy and had places to go, so I didn't want to keep you.
No, I was quiet. I was just like, God, if this is the way I die, at least it's in a niceness.
Yeah, no. Another rule I've got is the best drift, if you had told me there was one, is always the one that's not on camera, on film. And even though I've gotten a lot of cars sideways, usually on purpose, and often for like a story or a photo, or drifting my Supra, or drifting one of Otto's cars or whatever. Yeah. But the best drift I ever pulled off, I think, because I kept doing it, was in the previous shape M5, the V8. And my editor at the time, he had the Audi RS7, and I had the M5, and we had turned two at Killarney, and a photographer. And we were going around and around, and he goes, can't you like get it sideways? It'll look really cool. You got it sideways. And then I go, well, where's the Audi gonna be? It's like, no, he'll be behind you. He'll be like chasing you. And I go, okay, cool. So I'm gonna drift this 1.5 million rand, was like 400 kilowatt BMW's M5, and you're gonna be chasing me in an RS7, sure. And I think
other people's cars.
But when your boss says you gotta do it.
Oh yeah, it's green lights.
Green lit. And the first one was a bit tentative, pussyfooting around, and then the second one I was like, fuck it. I just floored it. And I kept it there for a good couple of seconds, and the photographer goes, can you do it again? Because you can't see the Audi now.
Oh gosh, just tire smoke.
There's just smoke everywhere. And for me, that was like, my balls are how big? Yeah. Sure, yeah, I can do it again. That was the best one. I eventually spun out, and the Audi kind of just like went around me, but even then it's like, well, can't tell me I wasn't trying hard enough.
I think like I said, I mean, I was never that fantastic of a drifter. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't really classify myself as a drifter. But when you exit, man, it's just like, I think it's like bungee jumping, and that moment when the cable tensions.
Yeah.
That relief.
Yeah. When you exit and you kind of like clean it up.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling.
Or when you link it, and when you link it is even better. But I mean, I don't think I've ever linked it without shitting myself.
This show, I think we've spoken about Ernest's page in every single episode. Yeah. He's actually been a feature in every single episode by now. Can't understand it. Not even a particularly nice guy.
Man. Ernest is a legend. Like he's literally like.
Does he feel like all of our younger brother?
I don't know. I think he's older than me, so I don't know if he's my younger brother though. Shit.
I don't know if he's aged well or if you're struggling.
I'm struggling. Fuck dude. Okay. This is event life look like this. I'm 25. Look at me. I'm dying. I don't know. I think maybe me and Ernest is the same age. He doesn't annoy me though because he does have like vampire tendencies and he doesn't age like normal people.
No, but I think of him as like a younger brother to everybody I know, because I think he's got that excitement. You know, you just want to throw sand on him or something. He's just too excited, but he's a lovely guy.
Like a dog that must get spayed.
Yeah. I'm going to spay him. I'm going to spay you, Ernie. I'm not going to spay Ernie. But my other Ernie story, and it's based on what you just said, like that feeling of linking it. So I also went to Monster Mob, and I went there after Ernest. And if I remember correctly, it's after he had gone and he had crashed something there or scrapped it. It's just
he was at the time. I think he was driving for Otto, and he was driving the black R33 Skyline.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he had pranked it at Monster Mob, and I've gone up with a colleague, friend, photographer, Siegel and Pierce, and I was doing a story for Top Gear. And Ernie messages me and he goes, "Good luck," and all the words of wisdom and so on. And he goes, "Yeah, but you're not going to link it. You're not going to link it on day one."
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it. I'm not stopping until I link this fucking transition. And I eventually did. And I told him. And I like to think that he never got over it. But he obviously has, because he's quite successful at all the shit that he does in the car. You know, he's quite quick. But still, screw you, Ernie. totally nailed the transition.
I think what people don't realize about Monster Mob is that a day at Monster Mob is equivalent to like 6 months at Killarney.
Absolutely.
Like if you just commit to the day, you learn so much in one day. And if you've got a supply of tires and you've got a car that's holding out, you can just drive and drive and drive and drive. And you can't repeat that at Killarney, like with a 2-hour stint or 3-hour stint. It's just
in 2 hours at Killarney, and let's say there's a couple of other people in the queue with you, maybe you go around that corner 12 times.
Yeah.
Whereas at Monster Mob, you're doing it.
You actually get sick of driving.
You're like, I can't. My arms don't want to work anymore. I'm tired. It smells like smoke. And a lot of the rubber like gets into the car as well. It's like when you ride go-karts at freaking Killarney Center. And your hands are black. There's like little rubber balls all over you, and you can imagine what your face looks like. It's like that inside one of these cars as well. So the inside of your nostrils are like raw already.
It's abusive. I mean, people don't get it.
It's awesome, but it's a hell of a forearm workout. And when you get home, like when you get on your flight, if you flew there, you're fucked.
Yeah. And for bigger guys, like I mean, like your back takes a pounding, everything takes a pounding.
Your
like,
neck, your shoulders.
We went up for 4 days.
Yeah.
So we sent the cars down on the truck and we flew down. We got to Monster Mob. We got to Kimberley, and then we checked into the little B&B. The truck arrived about 3 hours after we got to Kimberley, so we had breakfast at the Spur and stuff. And then we were literally driving the drift cars as our way to commute from the B&B to Monster Mob, like literally. We were drag racing in the city. There's like fucking hooliganism. And you can't get away, like you can't do that in Cape Town. Like you will never get away with it.
There's not a lot going on in Kimberley.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of roads that are actually like a full 400 meters. Like it'll be 100 meters and a hole, and then 100 meters and a hole.
Yeah. Not the big hole.
Yeah,
that's
holes.
there too, but just random holes. Like no, that slows you right down.
Yeah.
And your typical drift car, not exactly cushy suspension.
We so on competition day, Bronny White buys a Supra, and the Supra arrives on the track. So let me give you the scenario right now. So they're busy with scrutineering already for event day. Bronny's car is only arriving from Joburg. He bought the car, he's never driven it before in his life. Me and Bronny drive into town, we get it off the truck. Bronny road tests from the truck to Monster Mob in time for scrutineering. Like literally, like never driven the car before. Got out, does a qualifying run, car puts the car sideways, and then the problems obviously started. But I mean, like it was that, like the level of commitment was like, I need a car, bought the car came, got in the car and competed.
Now, I don't often do like educational videos, and someone once told me they loved the podcast because I don't try to have a message or teach anyone, or I feel like it was a kind of a burn, but he was quite thrilled because it's more of a conversation. But
you were trying to teach people something.
Yeah, I was like, I'm glad you didn't even try. Thanks. I guess. But now that I have you, 3 things. Like if you've just bought a car, it's rear-wheel drive. That's it. That's all you've got. 3 things you gotta do if you actually wanna take the sport seriously.
So let's say I bought a Bob Standard 350Z. Probably suspension, locked up, and an e-brake before you even try and make power. And then the suspension is obviously going to give you the advantage of being able to dial the car in a little better. The e-brake is because you want to obviously initiate, and then locking the diffs because you want both wheels to do what you need it to do. But I think everybody just like runs and big power, throw in an import engine, blah blah blah. I mean, if you watch the Drift City video for the post event, Daniel Angelica actually says it very well. He says like, people have this assumption that you need a lot of money and big money to start in drifting. Like their practice cars are literally locked of E36s and they just have fun. You know what I mean? And it's the E36s become sort of the S13 of South Africa.
South Africa, yeah, for sure.
Because you can buy parts at 7-Eleven. It's like that accessible. You can get a rolling chassis with no papers maybe for like 10, 15 grand and start. And that's what the big, like Japan had an abundance of S13s. So we adopted this whole JDM persona.
Gotta have that car.
Yeah.
Even though it's it's on every corner.
Yeah, they were throwing that shit away.
Yeah.
And it was literally their Rex, which is the equivalent to maybe like our R30 Skyline 4-doors and E36s. And we have it, we just tried so hard to mimic the Japanese culture that it ended up costing money.
But the irony is that our collector scene has gone
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
So let's say our SX would have been a E30 320i manual.
Yeah.
You can't buy that now for what it's worth. It's worth 40 to 60 grand. You're gonna have to pay between 400 and 600,000 rand because the world has gone fucking mad.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's again another trait of social media where these cars, like it's monkey see, monkey do. So you post an incredibly neat E30 for good money, and Bob with the chrome bumper that's got 4 different fenders thinks his car's in the same category.
And he's like,
yeah.
don't negotiate. I know what I got.
Yeah. Slight bearing knock.
Yeah. I know what I got.
And the crazy thing is, though, is always willing seller, willing buyer situation.
Yeah.
So some of them are getting their money for it. Like, people are desperate for good cars, and some of them are just wasting money.
Yeah.
I make the joke over and over again. I can't afford to get back into it. I can't. Like, I every year I put off buying me a 350Z, and I'm like, every year 350Z is getting more and more expensive.
Yeah.
At one stage, a 350Z was like 85 grand.
Yeah.
160 now all of a sudden for 2003, 2004 model.
Can't justify it. And the thing is, it's meant for us. It's meant for us to go, I'm now at the point where I've got fuck around money.
Yeah.
And I remember this
That
car.
kind of fuck around money.
No, you had that kind of fuck around money, but now it's a whole another level of fuck around that you can't afford because of this driving. I don't even know what it is. It's this demand based on vapor, dude.
Yeah.
There's one thing I skipped over. So 10 years ago, we go to that garage, we see these Quattros and Lamborghinis and stuff, and it's covered in dust. 10 years ago, me goes, how do you let these cars get so neglected and unused and there's dust in them?
Yeah.
And me of now goes, if you go through that door, you will see a Supra covered in this much dust next to a Chevy covered in this much dust.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I don't want to go drive them.
Yeah.
It's that dream of having your 5-car, 6-car garage. Yeah. It's bullshit because you've only got one ass.
Yeah.
You can only put them in one car at a time.
And the thing is, like, at our age now, you like think to yourself, fuck, that thing got no aircon.
There we go.
I'm not gonna drive that thing. I mean, we
and it's summer.
Yeah. So I wanted to go somewhere on Sunday. Bronwyn was at work, and I said to Aiden, let's take the Territory. I haven't driven the Territory for 5 months. Now, the Territory is probably the most impractical car in the world. It's a 4-liter straight 6. It gets 17 liters to 100. It is just stupidly unnecessary. But I love driving the damn thing. So I come outside and I'm like, the bus is parked too close to it. Yeah, fuck it. And you just leave, and I still haven't driven it. So, like, you just, the convenience is so much more important than the experience for me now at the moment.
Very different example. One that I know you can't relate to, but that bicycle over there.
No, lost me.
But let me tell you.
Lost me when you said bicycle.
I have not ridden that bicycle in ages, but then my electric bicycle broke. So now I've ridden that bicycle. Because anything that makes life a little bit more convenient, comfortable, that's the one.
Yeah.
Like, remember when we didn't like automatics?
Yeah. No,
now it's like, I will not drive your car unless it's an automatic.
I love automatics. I love automatics. I said to Brandon the other day as well, I was like, we spend so much money in making life easier for ourselves, like nice washing machines. Why are we still changing gears? Why are we still changing? Why are we in? And when I felt it the worst was the day that taxi strike happened, because I was in the bus, I was in the combi, and as a manual, and my calf muscle like developed a whole new life of its own. I couldn't anymore. It took me from Howard Center in Pinelands to the Vincent Pilati intersection. It took me just under an hour. I got to that intersection. I said, there's a cattle baron at the bottom here. I said to Brandon and Aiden, I said, I'm taking you to supper. We're sitting here until we finish. I cannot do this. I cannot do it. It's just, we sat there for 2.5 hours. I said, I'm not.
I'm laughing, but I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, so, like Kelly, like, I mean, she drives some of the test cars because one ass. I can't drive them all. I try to, but sometimes a car arrives, and I'll give it to her. I'm like, here you go, free fuel. You just got to write a story for me. And then she'll go, thank you. is it automatic? Like, I don't think this one comes in an auto. She's like, oh,
That's a negative.
I'm gonna use my car. she's got a Fiat Panda. It's like 13 years old, but it's an automatic. But it's famously one of the least loved automated manual transmissions of all time.
Yeah.
But she'll take that over rowing her own gears, and I get it.
Yeah.
I will write a story about a BMW M2.
Yeah.
And how amazing it is, and the manual version, and the rest of it. But I wouldn't get a manual anymore.
Yeah.
My Super's a manual, my Chevy's an auto. For me to drive either of them tomorrow, I would need to start charging the battery tonight, and it'll probably be the Chevy because I can see myself cruising around the Chevy tomorrow, even though it's only got 3 speeds at Autobox. That's fine. That car's designed to cruise around in. Whereas the Supra, that's hard work, dude. It's manual steering, manual transmission, no aircon.
Yeah.
And I know.
And you sound it. You all your linings out, so the car's noisy and that.
Yeah. I know. Like 10 k's in, I'm gonna be like, this is amazing. I should drive this all the time.
Yeah.
But that first 10 kilometers, I'm gonna be hating life.
And the last 10 kilometers on the way back, it's like, okay, I'm done now. I'm tired now.
That's when the gauge will light up, or there'll be a new sound or something. Old cars, dude. You know a lot about old cars because that's also your business.
Yeah.
You touched on the bikes, but movie car guys, what's that about?
So a couple of years ago, I got retrenched. And I took my retrenchment money and I bought 2 limousines.
As one does. I bought a camera, but okay, 2 limousines.
So I bought 2 limousines. And at the time, they were the only 2 Lincoln town cars in the country. So they were left-hand drive American limousines. I opened a company called Classic American Limousine, and it didn't go as I thought it was going to go. I thought I was going to be like, oh, I'm going to be this
rolling
easy money kind of a vibe. Firstly, like the storage for these things cost because you can't park them in a garage. They don't fit. They're like 30,000 meters long. They don't fit in any garage. So I was paying for storage, and then like, I'm actually losing money because I'm paying for storage more than the thing's actually making money. Then I started getting work for the film stuff, but not driving stars around on camera stuff. Then I thought, okay, this is cool. And then another business contacted me because of my reputation in the whole custom style thing, and they were looking for like Fast and the Furious style stuff. And I was like, yeah, I got cars, and like, but I went to set every day because I was trying to figure this thing out. I was like, this is new to me. Why is it like? Then I started doing homework. I scratched and I scratched and I scratched, and it was like an actual industry.
The whole industry.
Yeah. So it's been 14 years now or something. Like literally my brief for tomorrow is I gotta go to Wellington tomorrow morning. I gotta go look at a car that we need to turn into like a Hot Wheels racer. So cool. I get to do cool shit. Like I really get to do cool shit. And I'm grateful because like there's so much avenues in this industry that we love so much. And I don't want to say I found my niche because at 44, I don't really know what my niche is. I'm still figuring life out myself. But I'm getting to do something that like literally still excites me.
Yeah, that excites. Cool. I mean, that's exciting. Like, I love movies.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about movies.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about cars. So for me, that's like the perfect marriage between the two.
Yeah.
What is your best project you've done in this field? Like, what's your best movie?
It's been lots.
Yeah.
Like I generally like to do commercials as opposed to like series and movies because they become long and monotonous, and sometimes when you're on a project too long it becomes irritable.
Yeah.
People aren't nice. Like the truth of the matter is people aren't nice. It's budget driven, it's timeline driven. People can be very nasty. You work 12-hour days. So people think, oh, it's glamorous, but like there's some really cool shit that we've done over the years. Like things that stand out to me is the fact that obviously I got to meet people like Idris Elba and the Harry Potter guy Daniel Radcliffe and working with Cassie Ventura, who's at the time was P Diddy's girlfriend, and I literally asked her, "Can you phone P Diddy?" Because
that's pretty cool.
Like, can you FaceTime him? She's like, "No, can you FaceTime him? Please, can I get your phone? Can I FaceTime him?" So
did it happen?
No.
Oh
no.
Damn.
But like and like the opportunity that you get to build, like we built a ghost motorbike for Idris Elba, completely white out for a Sky a UK DSTV, like
Yeah, Sky, not
Sky. Yeah, but there was like the Sky Plus kind of thing. So there was a commercial that we did. We shot it in Montague Gardens,
That's dope.
and we had to make this ghost bike for him. I still got the helmet. Like I got a.
How
he's
much?
the only person that's ever worn it.
How much?
No, I won't sell it.
Come on.
I
Okay,
won't sell it.
fine.
But there's just opportunities that I, as a boy from the Cape Flats, never ever thought that I'd
Snap,
get to do.
dude, snap.
Like highlights would obviously be that the opportunity that I got to send Anwar and Sean February and Yasin to India to go ride in Bollywood. Like that's cool shit, man. Like you just think like
No doubt.
taking something that is just you and now being able to earn a revenue of it, it's cool. It's cool. It's really like, it's a blessing in every sense of the word.
Same WhatsApp group, dude,
Yeah.
as the kids say. I feel the same way. Like I managed to turn my love of cars into anyone that has done it, that can turn something they love into their livelihood.
Yeah.
And not, there's a cliche like if you do something you love,
You never have to work a day in your life.
that's bullshit. But they
You're
do
still
also say
fucking
like,
working.
Yeah, nothing kills a passion like making it your job.
Yeah.
Flip side of that same damn coin. And yet I'm still passionate. I'm still.
Yeah.
I think the trick is having other things.
Yeah.
You can't just have the one thing
Yeah.
and put everything into
Yeah.
it. And maybe what's helped me and maybe what's helped you also is besides being these car guys from the flats, is having families, having
Yeah.
kids and having awesome wives and the rest of it because they keep you grounded.
Yeah. 100%, particularly mine.
No, someone had to.
Yeah.
And I don't mean throw with sand, I mean like
Nah, they
grounded.
throw me with sand and rocks. Yes, if anybody reminds me every day that I'm just an arsehole, it's my wife.
Yeah.
Every morning arsehole, and I'm so happy that it's actually me.
Okay. No, well, I'm happy to chip in. Dude, thank you so much. I knew most of your story, and even though we haven't spent like days and days and days together, we've not only spent a little bit of time with each other, but it's always been super pleasant.
Yeah.
And now we learn that at least one of those moments was quite a big moment for both of us
Yeah.
for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful, dude.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I mean, for me, like just sitting on this couch that Ernest Page sat on, like that's
a big
enough.
deal.
That's enough to me. Was it cracked before he sat here?
No, he basically farted like you wouldn't believe. And
This
he
guy.
didn't even have shoes on.
This guy, I don't know.
And if you are 44, I think he's 44 as well.
Yeah, I
you
think we're
guys
the
could
same
be-
age.
You look the same. I can barely tell you apart.
Fuck no. That guy's not aging, dude. That guy's not aging. And plus, I don't think he can grow a beard. He tried once, but it doesn't work.
No, it looks ridiculous. He's trying a moustache now, but honestly, it looks like another
You're
eyebrow.
ragging Ernest like this.
Yeah.
No.
Ernest, if you're watching, this will be the fourth one in a row. You should be doing that. Cheers.
Cheers, my dude.